Hey guys, welcome back to Terraria with Yak, and in this episode we're going to be going over the guide for fighting Astrum Deus on Calamity's Death Mode and Master Mode enabled. So some noteworthy things here: you have access to the Lunar Gear before you fight this boss because you should have fought a Lunatic Cultist already, and you can make the Tenebrous Tides as melee class, and it's one of the best weapons for fighting this boss because there's just so much piercing value. Some classes have it tough because they don't have many piercing weapons, but melee is not one of them. You should have no problem getting a lot of damage on this boss. So this boss is very unique and very technical, so I don't have a lot of time to get into it here. So I'm gonna be very quick in giving you some of these stats here. So Astrum Deus actually spawns as one worm until 50% of his health is remaining, and then he splits into two smaller worms. Okay, now both worms act the same, except for the fact that they both alternate between blue and orange colors, and this tells you whether they are in burrowing or flying mode. Flying mode is blue and burrowing is orange. Now you don't need to know what flying and burrowing means. What you do need to know is that the blue worm cannot shoot the orange lasers at you. Alright, so the orange lasers, they are the lasers that the worms will periodically spawn on all of its segments all at once. Right there, those are the orange lasers there. And now the blue one can still use the astral mines, those little circles there. Both worms can use the astral mines, and when they are below 70% life, or when one of the worms is below 70% life, the mines will explode into more lasers. Okay. Next up is the worms are not. A useful tip here is the worms are not. You're not restricted to the astral biome at all in this boss fight, so make as big of an arena as possible because you're gonna need it. These bosses move very fast, and you're gonna need a lot of space in order to get the most out of this boss fight. Now, I don't know if I said this yet, but they alternate between flying and burrowing every so often. Okay, so and they both are different. So while one worm is flying, the other one is going to be burrowing, and that changes every 10 seconds. Okay, and the one thing that death mode adds to this boss is that both worms now need to be killed in order to achieve defeat and get the treasure bag. So what that means is, before on any easier difficulty, you only have to kill one of the worms, and then the other one will just immediately die. But in this one, you do have to kill both, and once one of the worms dies, the other one actually becomes enraged. It moves faster, and it can use all of its attacks at once. Okay, so that's just something to note there. When one of the worms is below 50%, it will also change the orange lasers into the orange and blue spinning lasers. Okay, so and those basically deal more damage, and I believe they give you a debuff, but I'm not entirely sure on that though. But yeah, so yeah, and you're forced to fight this boss at night anyways, so you don't have to. You're automatically gonna get the celestial shell buffs. The only thing left I'll say here is that I'm using the Empress wings, but you might want to opt for something with more flight time, because there's a lot of flying in this boss fight. The Empress wings are good though, because they have that bonus where if you hold up, then you fly up faster, and that can be useful for this boss fight to dodge the head, because the head, if you get hit by the head on these worms, they will deal a lot of damage, and your fight will pretty much be over. But yeah, if you want something with more flight time though, you can go with, like, I don't know, the Fishron wings probably are the best in that area. But yeah, the only thing left to say really is that for any class, this goes for any class, you want to find a piercing weapon. The Tenebrous Tides is really, really good for melee. Some classes, like, I don't think Mage has a good weapon for this boss fight, and you're just gonna have to you're just going to have to rough through it. It's going to be a rough boss fight if you don't have something that can pierce. But anyways, thank you everybody so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.